In this presentation, we're going to begin the setup process for inventory and service items. When we set up inventory and service items, we're thinking about those items we're going to need to create invoices and sales receipts. And with regards to inventory items, we're also setting up the inventory balances if there's any beginning balances within the inventory for the inventory list and the financial statement amount related to those inventory items. Time to engage with Sage 50 Cloud Accounting. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars practice file. We're in the customer and sales section. We're going to go to the file drop down once again, and we're going to be taking a look at that setup guide. So we want to take a look at the setup guide in the file drop down. We're going to be jumping down here to the inventory and service items. So we want to think about the inventory and service items. So those are going to be items that you purchase, manufacture or assemble and sell to customer. Inventory items can also include the services that you provide to your customers. So I'm going to say, all right, let's select that item. Then we got basically a little wizard here. So we inventory and service items. Inventory items include any item or service that you sell. Inventory is usually considered an asset that is purchased, manufactured, or assembled and sold to customers. Many businesses find it useful to treat a service as an item similar to inventory. Doing this makes it easier to assign prices to your services and list them on invoice for your customers. So in other words, if you have service items, like if you did bookkeeping or if you did landscaping or something like that, rather than just charging an hourly kind of rate, it might be easier to set up the items. I do highly recommend, thinking about that if you don't have that kind of system in mind, because it can make a more standardized kind of setup process, make it easier for the billing process, and it just can be a useful thing to do. In any case, if you maintain a stock of actual items, we recommend that you enter these items first. You can always enter other items or services later. Would you like to enter inventory items or services now? And we're going to say, yes, I want to enter inventory and service items now. So I'm going to say, okay, let's go next. No inventory item or service have been been set up for your company. Click the Add Item or Service button to add items or services. After you set up the first item, a list of your inventory items and services will appear below. When you're done, enter items or services, click Next to continue. So then we have the Add button, Add New Item or Services. We're going to select the Add New Items or Services. Now we're going to enter each of our inventory items. Now this could take some time, so bear with us here. We're going to be entering all of our inventory items. We'll do this one by one. So we're going to say this is going to be the item ID. So I'm going to say the item ID for the first one is going to be an ELP. Notice you have the description on the right as you enter this for if you have any questions about the fields. Then I'm going to have the description. This is going to be a Epiphone Les Paul. This is going to be a guitar that we sell. So I'm going to say Epiphone Les Paul. And then the item class is going to be, if I select the class here, it's either a stock item, a non-stock item, description only, a service item, labor, or assembly. So this for us is going to be a stock item because we're going to say it's going to be an inventory item. The stock item basically meaning that it's going to be something that it's going to be tracking inventory for. So description, we're going to say the for sale, and for purchase. So I'm going to keep it as the for sale. And then I'm going to put the same item in here, which is going to be the Epiphone Les Paul. I'm going to do the same for the purchase. So then I'm going to go to for purchase. So that means when it's on like a purchase item, like a purchase order, we're going to have the Epiphone Les Paul, and it's going to be the same when it's on a sales item. So if I flip this back over to the sales item, that's going to be what's going to be included in the description section. And then we're going to have the price levels, Now this is the sales price. Note that you can have multiple price levels. So if I went in here, we could say, hey, we got different price levels that we can enter it for. We're going to be entering just one price level. So I'm going to say it's going to be the price level 1. And that's going to be, we're going to sell it for $500. And then it's going to be going to the GL account for $4,000. That's going to be the sales item. So if I select this item, that's going to be sales or income. So sales or income is the account we're going to be using for the inventory sales. Note that if you wanted to make that more specific, then, I would go into the chart of accounts and just change the name. You could make it inventory sales for like guitars. We're basically selling guitars here. And so then we got the inventory account. So the inventory account, we just have one inventory account for guitars. We're going to put them all into the same inventory account. That's going to be the 1,200. Again, you could have multiple inventory accounts if you so choose. So then we're going to say the last cost. So last cost is going to be, we're going to say 400. Now we're going to use a cost flow assumption method, and that we have the FIFO, the LIFO or the average. Probably the most common two being the FIFO or the average. LIFO is a little bit unusual, but you could use the LIFO as well. It does have the capability to do so. So then we're going to say the tax. Now the default typically would be that the tax 1 is it's going to be taxable, and if you have 2, then it's going to be exempt from tax. If you're in the US, we're talking sales tax here. So if you're in the United States, then if it's an inventory item, then it's typically subject to tax. It's going to be subject to some kind of state tax. So you have to figure out the state you're in and what kind of sales tax you will be subject to. If it's like a service item, then typically you're not going to be subject to the taxation general rule in. Now, I'm not going to enter anything here. You could check the information to see what it is here. You can have also added information for the item type if you want to have an added item type that's over and above basically the stock item versus the inventory item, location, and the stocking information and the weight. So you can add that information if you so choose over here. You also have the quantity on hand. So we're going to have to adjust the quantity on hand with regards to the beginning balances. So we'll do that down here. Minimum stock is basically where you want the minimum stock. So if we're talking about guitars, what do I want the minimum stock to be? Reorder quantity, at what point are we going to be doing the reorder point? And then the preferred vendor, so we could put in the preferred vendor for us is going to be the Epiphone. So we could put Epiphone, and notice we don't have obviously the vendor set up at this point, so we could set up. Actually, let's keep this blank for now because I want to go through the setting up of the vendors as we go. So I'm not going to put the preferred vendor at this time. And then the buyer ID, I'm going to keep that as is as well. Then let's go to the beginning balances. So I'm going to go to the beginning balances. You have modified the current record and have not saved it. Do you want to save it first? And we're going to say, I should have saved it first. I'm going to say yes here, or you can live less dangerously by hitting save up here first before you enter the beginning balances. I'm going to go ahead and say save. And so it's going to save that information. So then we have the item ID. And I'm just going to select the item, and then I'm going to put the quantity here and the quantity on hand. I believe we have 1. We're going to say 1 quantity, and the unit cost we're going to say is that 400. And so the total cost is going to be 400 for that item. So then I'm going to say OK, and there's the 400. And now we have the other tabs. We have the custom fields tabs. I'm not going to enter anything in the custom fields, and the history tab. I'm going to go back then to the general tab. And then if you go back up top and you want to see a list, you can go to the list of items here, and that's going to show you, what you've been doing so far. So there we have it. I'm going to be closing this back out, and then I'm going to go to the new. So I'm going to go new, and then we're going to add another one. So now I'm going to say that this next one is going to just be an ER. So I'm going to say this is the ID of an ER. I'll go a little bit faster here on this one. And then we're going to say this is an Epiphone Riviera. So I'm going to say this is an Epiphone Riviera, another type of guitar. It's going to be a stock item, and I'm going to say it's going to be the same description for the sale as well as the purchase. So the sale and purchase, same description. Price level, this one is going to be 550. That's what we sell it for, just the one price level. It's going to be going again to the 400. That's good for the default inventory account. Is the 12, and the cost of goods sold, that all looks good. Then the last unit, we're going to say this cost 440. We're going to be using that FIFO method. So this all looks good. It will have sales tax, so we're going to keep 1 there. We're not going to add any other items down below. And then I'm going to wait and enter the beginning balances at the end. So let's just continue entering our items. So then I'm going to save that, and let's enter a new item again. And this is going to be an ESH. I'm going to say an ESH. I'm going to be up here and say this is going to be an ESH this time. And it's going to be an Epiphone semi-hollow body. And I'm going to put that for the sales as well as the purchase. So there we have that. The price line for it, we're going to sell it for the 320. And that looks good. We're going to be purchasing it for, actually, we're going to sell it for, no, we're going to sell it for 400. This is a guitar we're selling for 400, and we're going to buy it for 320. LIFO, it is subject to tax, so these are all the accounts that will be affected when we sell it. Obviously, the income account will go up, inventory will go up when we purchase it, cost of goods sold will go up when we sell it on a perpetual inventory method. And then we're not going to enter any minimum stock and whatnot, so we're going to keep those as they are. So we're going to save that one, and I'm going to and then I'm going to add a new, let's hold on. They say I missed something here, an item class. So I need an item class, so we're going to say this is going to be a stock item. So stock item, I'm going to set that as the default right now, is the stock item. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to say stock item default. Let's do that as we enter the next couple. And then I'm going to save this again. And then let's say that we're going to say we want a new one again. So now let's do another item. So I'm going to say new. And this is going to be an Epiphone Standard Pro, which is an ESP. So I'm going to say this is an ESP. And this is going to be a Epiphone Standard Pro. We're going to say this is going to be the same for the sales description as well as the purchase description. The price level here, what we're going to be selling it for, is going to be the 600, and we're going to then purchase it for the 480, and that looks good there. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then we'll make another one. So we'll make another one. This is going to be a Gibson. So this one's a Gibson, another type of guitar, which we're going to say GUSA, and it's going to be a Gibson. And stock item, I'm going to say same on the sales description and the same on the purchase. And the price is going to be 380 that we sell it for, and then it's going to be 304 that we purchase it for. And then we're going to save that. And then let's do this again. We're going to say we need another. So I'm going to say I need another one. And this one's going to be a Steinberger solid body. So I'm going to say this is a SSB Steinberger solid body. And so that's going to be the sales description and the purchase description. We're going to sell this one for 410. We're going to purchase it for the 328. All right, so there's that. And now I'm going to enter the beginning balances. So I'm going to save these, and then let's enter the beginning balances for all of them at one time now. So beginning balances, we already entered the first one. Now we'll enter the rest of them here. So let's see. So then I'm going to select the ER here, and the ER is going to be the Epiphone Riviera, and I'm going to say that we have then one of those. So I'm going to say the quantity is going to be 1, and then the price, the cost of the unit that we have is going to be 440. So 440. And then we have the ESH, which I'm going to say has a quantity. I'm going to say 2 of those. And the unit cost, I'm going to say, is 320. So that's going to be the 640 total there. So then I'm going to go ahead and save that. So I'm going to say okay as we go, and then I'm going to keep on going back into it. I'm going to go to the beginning balance again, and now we want the Epiphone Standard Pro. That's the ESP. We're going to say that in the Epiphone Standard Pro, we've got one of those at a cost of the Epiphone's 480. Cost 480. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to say okay, and then go back into it again. And then we have the Gibson. So the Gibson USA, we're going to say that we have 2 of those. 2 of those. Oh, that's the cost. Hold on a second. 2 of those at the 304. And so then I'm going to save that. I'm going to say okay. And then let's do this again. We're going to do it again. And this time we're going to say that we have the Steinberger solid body. And this is going to be for 328, or the quantity. Hold on a sec. Quantity is 1 of those at the 328. And so there we have that. And that's going to give us a total then. Let's go ahead and say okay. Saves that. I'm going to go back into it. Just consider the total balances here. So we got the units. There's the unit cost. There's going to be the total cost. Our total balance now at the 2896. So that should be tying out to the 2896 at this point. All right, so I'm going to check that off. Now I'm going to look at some service items. So I'm going to remove the default now, and I'm going to, well, actually, let's do this. I'm going to save this. We're going to add another item. So we're going to say new, and then I'm going to set this one to a service item this time, and I'm going to set that as the default. So I'm going to go to this item, I'm going to say not stock anymore because we're going to now enter a bunch of service items. So we're going to enter the service items. It'll make it a little bit easier if we set that as the default. And then we're going to go through this again. So I'm just going to call this diagnostic. And it sounds a little like a car thing, even though we're a guitar shop. But, just bear with me. We're just going to add some service items here. And then under the service item, the sales description is going to be the diagnostic. We don't need the other side of thing, a purchase description, because it's going to be a service item. We're not going to have any purchase description on it. And then we've got the sales price. We're going to say is going to be $68. And then notice the sales now is going to this account 400 or 4,000. I'd like to set up another sales account this time, because I'd like to break out a difference between my sales of inventory and my sales of services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chart of accounts. I'm going to open up another window, and I'm going to go into the chart of accounts and add another account. So I'm going to go to the lists up top. I'm going to go to the chart of accounts, and then I'm going to take a look at the inventory number that we have. I'm going to make this full screen so we can see it here. Inventories at the 1200. So I'm going to, and then we have the inventory at the 1200. Now, I'm not talking about inventory here. We don't have inventory. We're going to talk about the income number, which is a sales income is 4,000. So I'm going to make one 4,050, let's say 4,050. So I'm going to add another account, going up top here to new, and we're going to add another account. And 4,050 is going to be the number. You want to memorize that. Make sure I have that down. 4,050, 4,050. So the account ID is going to be 4,050. So that's going to be our ID. The description is going to be service income or something like that. The type of account is going to be an income type of account. Now, this is going to be one of the critical factors here. We want to make sure it's an income type of account. And there we have it. I think that looks pretty good. I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and save that. And then take a look at where it ends up. Now, notice I'm not going to be entering a beginning balance here, because we're going to be entering, well, we don't have any beginning balance for the income, because it's going to be starting at the point in time we start the new company, which is going to be 2020. So there it is, the service item. All right, let's jump back over to our items then. If I go back over to our items, I want to change this then to the service items. So now I'm making service items. I want to change that. Now note, I'm not entering any beginning balance at this point, because it's a service item. There's no inventory, so we don't have any beginning balance. So the GL for the wages expense, I'll just keep it at the wages expense here, and then the cost of sales. So the cost of sales is at the cost of sales, and I'll keep that as is for the service item. So there we have it. Last unit. There is no last unit, because it's a service item, so we're not really tracking inventory, so I'm not going to put anything for last unit. All I want are the price levels. So then I'm going to save that. So let's say we want to save that. We got 3 more we'll enter, and these should be fairly quick. So then I'm just going to say this is going to be our service. These aren't the best names for our service, or the service items, but I just want to be able to distinguish between the service items and the inventory items. I'm going to put the hour service here. If you are doing service items or hourly service items, it is nice to have them set up as kind of items here. I'm going to set this as making sure to change it to the 4,050 for the service income. And then I'm going to save that and make another one, which is going to be partial service. So I'm going to say save and then new. And then we're going to set up an ID, and it's going to be partial service, and then partial service, and we'll put that here. That's going to be for 100. And there we have that. And I want to make sure that this account is going to the service account, which is the 4,050. So let's say save that. And then one more, which I'm going to call a tune-up. So a tune-up. For a guitar. It's a guitar tune-up. That makes sense. Not a car tune-up. This wasn't retrieved from any car thing. We're talking about a guitar tune-up that we're charging for here. So it's a tune-up. All right, and then a tune-up and tune-up, and this is going to be for 200. So there we have that. It's going to be going to the service item, of the 4,050. So I'm going to save that. So now we've set these items up now. Now next time we'll kind of review these items and take a look at the financial statement, because you would think then some of the items should be generating the financial statements. The inventory items is going to have a financial item to it, and we're also going to be needing to track that inventory items that we have now entered into the system under the first in, first out method, the inventory flow method. So we'll continue with this next time. It'll be great, but that's it for now. Let's get out of here.